Joe Budden's manager, Ian Schwartzman, defends putting content behind the paywall.
I bet you 90% of the people in this room are subscribed to 1, 2, or 3 different video platforms, and they won't tune in one time to that platform for anything, but they'll just keep paying. But the second a creator that they listen to religiously, like the Joe Budden podcast, decides to paywall one or more of their IP, it's like outrage. Until you break a threshold and you're sustainable.
And I'm not saying that they not any of this thing. What I'm saying is the problem is what YouTube is splitting with y'all. What YouTube has valued our time to the creator is the problem, not the money that y'all are getting. We are giving y'all time. We are watching the ads.
Guys, thank you. I was just gonna say, people complain. Right now, the pod is free on YouTube. If you want to wait the couple days, it is free on other platforms. These are ad-supported, passively ad-supported platforms. You don't have to give us the five. Yeah, you don't have to give us $5, $10, $25, or $50 a month. You could just sit there and give YouTube and our show your attention, and that is your investment into what we do. But the reality is everyone's paying. Some are paying with their time, and some are paying with their money. Today, as it stands, yes, we have a Patreon channel that is very successful, but we also have a YouTube. We also still operate on X. We also publish content to Facebook. We also publish content to TikTok. We also publish content to Snapchat. You could also get 2 episodes of the podcast for free on Spotify and Apple. So access points are not an issue. Our footprint is everywhere, and it will be in even more places in the near future. But when we deem reason to move in a certain direction, it's never just singularly for money.
That's right. On the Twitter space I just did recently, Ian defended the strategy of putting the most compelling content from the Joe Budden podcast on Patreon. Now, this comes on the heels of what I believe to be a big fumble by the Joe Budden podcast. They were caught flat-footed and not prepared to cover the Kendrick Lamar vs. Drake beef. That's right, Kendrick Lamar may have beaten Drake in the court of public opinion, but Drake outsmarted Joe Budden, dropping on days where Joe could not properly respond to whatever was going on with the battle. And also, a lot of episodes were put behind paywalls and sounded very dated by the time I heard them. So, this strategy seems to have backfired a bit, but that's just the optics. As Ian would accurately say that, this is going to allow him to monetize. Him and Joe is going to let them monetize this a little bit more. It's kind of been a central theme of their defense in terms of putting things on Patreon, right? These guys are an independent operation. They're not backed by iHeart or have a deal with an agency that guarantees them deals. Instead, they have a model where they get to keep a lot of the money that's coming in the door. So that's what they're going with. But I would push back on Ian in this back and forth by saying that this could lead to the marginalization of Joe Budden's voice, right? You remember when Howard Stern, I make this analogy all the time. I'm not going to get new analogies. Remember when Howard Stern went to Sirius? He went from making the news every day. Everybody heard his takes. The regular mailman, your mom might have heard him by just randomly tuning the dial. Then he went to Sirius, and a lot of people didn't hear him as much. Yes, he was making news, but you had to pay money to watch him on demand. And is that what's happening to Joe Budden? Is that the future for Joe? I think that's where we're headed. I think, yes, he does release free episodes, but they all but admitted, the Joe Budden podcast has said, the best stuff is on Patreon. That's what I like to do. That's what that's the priority. And you can tell on the free episodes that sometimes it's just really just to get to the Patreon. But let me know what you think about this back and forth between me and Ian. Let me know what you think about this strategy of paywalling the most compelling content. Because other channels have Patreons like Rory Mal, Flagrant 2. But you get the sense that their YouTube is where the good stuff is going. It's not the other way around. But you don't get the sense of that with Joe Budden. Alright, y'all, that's my video for today. Follow me on Twitter because that's where a lot of these debates happen. That's where a lot of the discourse goes down, and I think it's very engaging. And Twitter is my second favorite website. Like, as far as YouTube is the priority, Twitter is second, and I think all of you would enjoy it. Alright, y'all, follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.